Hello and welcome to my video all about how to sew a French seam. The basic concept is that you sew the seam twice in order to neatly conceal any raw edges from view on the wrong side of the fabric. So basically it's a seam that looks neat on both sides. Okay, so the first step is to place the fabric pieces wrong sides together, which is the opposite of what you would normally do when you create a seam. Then use pins to keep these fabric pieces in position. Note that you'll need to work out how much seam allowance you need before you begin, so that you'll end up with the seams where you want them. So in this example, I sewed 1/2 inch from the edge. You'll need to use a straight stitch to do this, and an appropriate needle and stitch length for your fabric. I used a contrast thread so you could see it clearly, but you would use a matching thread. I then trimmed this seam allowance down by 1/4 inch, and this left me with 1/4 inch of fabric between the sewn line and the edge. Next, you just need to open the fabric out and use an iron to press the seam allowance to one side. Pressing is an important step as it'll make the finished result a lot neater. And this is what your seam should now look like. Next, fold the fabric pieces right sides together and press the seamed edge with your iron. As you can see, I now have nice crisp folds. Pin the fabric in place and then sew the final line of stitching. Then open the fabric out again and press the seam allowance to one side. And that's it, the French seam is now complete. This is a 1/2 inch seam, and in order to make it we used 1 inch of fabric. So in other words, in order to make this exact same seam, you would need to add 1 inch of seam allowance to both fabric pieces. And that's it, that's how you sew a French seam. I really hope you found that useful, and thank you very much for watching.